All right, so this is the part that everyone's been waiting for. This is the part that everyone loves to do, and that is adding in the details. Okay, so right now if we were to compare my bird on my paper to the bird you see on the screen, I have a bird, right? If my goal was just to draw a bird, I'd be done. But my goal is not just to draw this bird, it's to draw the reference image, right? It's to draw, it's our ultimate goal is to be able to draw anything. And right now, I'm still not successful with drawing this reference image, right? It's just a basic bird. So what I'm gonna do is uh, add in the little things that make this bird specific to our reference. All right. And number one, we need to again ensure that everything is correct. Right? Is this head in the right proportion to this body? Right, relative to the reference image here. Right? Is this wing the correct size compared to the tail? So far, I would say yes. Okay, for me, right? Actually, I noticed here that this eye that I thought I fixed, or sorry, this beak that I thought I fixed actually was not fixed. Okay, I need to actually make it thinner like that. And I actually need to bring the eye a little closer. Okay, so I did have a mistake, and that's why I'm fixing it. Okay, all right. So moving on, I'm gonna start with one shape at a time. All right, if I start jumping around and trying to do multiple shapes at once, I'm not only gonna make a mistake, now I'm gonna forget what else I need to add, right? I'm gonna miss on certain parts of let's say this structure here because there's just so much going on. All right, so let's focus on one thing at a time. Again, I'm gonna be starting with this head. All right, so I see there's this like little dark area in between the beak and the eye, so I'm gonna add that just with the line right now. I'm not shading in or anything. All right, here there's a bottom part to it. It's kind of like two little triangles, right? Two little triangles that kind of follow the shape of the beak, like so, and I have one little shape down here under the beak. Okay, I'm seeing there's a small little line next to the eye, so I'm gonna add that in. It's kind of like the cheeks or something. Okay, so I'm looking at the proportion. I made mine way too small. Mine needs to be much bigger. Okay, something like that. Yeah, looks okay now. And there's this white like shape inside the eye. I'm gonna make sure that I have that too. All right. Now there's these little hairs, these little tufts of like feathers on the top of his head. I'm gonna be breaking up this like little tip on the bird's head into these small little triangles to show that there's some texture. Okay, this is texture back here. All right. Now down here too on his neck, there's more of this like fluffy feather stuff. And I'm gonna add these little lines here to show texture. Okay, just some small details that make the bird a little bit more like the reference. Okay, and for the most part, I'm pretty much done with the head, right? So you can't really see this in the darker for you. Okay, it's pretty much like done on the head. Okay, so let's move on to this next structure here, the wing. All right, so I have this wing has a lot going on. Okay, so I'm not gonna draw every little thing. I'm just gonna look for the most important details, and that seems to be the layers of the feathers, right? Notice now I'm no longer just talking about my reference as simple shapes. I'm starting to recognize the specific parts of it, right? I'm recognizing the specific things that we're used to recognizing, which are the wings, the beak, the eyes, the feet, the feathers, right? That's because we're at the detail portion, right? We no longer need to see it as just shapes, all right? So again, bringing it back to the lesson, this layer here is kind of a curved line. So I'm gonna add that. It's about a third of the wing. So a curved line that goes to about a third of the wing. Mine's still too short. I'm gonna fix that. I'm actually going to start here then and move up. Okay, and go round this part off a bit. So it looks like in the reference. And then this second layer of feathers here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. So I see this one kind of goes inwards, and then these feathers like this here, and it goes all the way up to the top. Okay, for some of you guys, you might want to be making things super perfect, which is great, and this might take you a really long time. But for the sake of time, and for those of us that don't necessarily want to make it super perfect, I'm not going to add in all the details, just the important ones. Okay. And then next, I have this shape here. Notice here at the bottom, it's a little bit flattened out, right? Mine is really round here. So I see that they have this broken up into two parts. So one is the larger feather that's actually hidden behind another feather, okay? And then the rest of it becomes these flatter feathers down here that separates like so, okay? And then it slowly gets closer and closer together. And I know I said that I'm not going to do all the details, but I really like this part, so I'm going to add that in there. Okay? And then down here as well, it's really close together. Like so. Okay? And then down here, we just have a bunch of the feathers stacked on top of each other. You can see the different layers, and I'm going to add that here. So this feather goes down like this, and then ends. This one sits on top of that, and then ends. This one's right here, and ends. I'm not getting every single thing, but I'm getting the ones that I think are important. Okay, and I'm done with this wing. All right, actually, I see a little bit down here that I need to add as well. So it's like two little feathers like so. Okay, so there you go. And next I'm gonna move down here, right? So here you can kind of see it looks kind of, from these feathers, it looks kind of furry. So I'm gonna take this same approach up here, but make it a little bit bigger. So these like kind of triangle looking shapes, I'm gonna add them here. And then they slowly get smaller and smaller as you go towards the bottom. Okay, and then erase anything that you don't need anymore. There you go. All right, and the back here, I see this wing. I'm just gonna separate it into the different layers. The back kind of has some like fluffiness to it, but since they're so small, it's not super important that I add that right now. But I do see down here, there's a separation from the tail and the body, okay? So I'm gonna add those little bits of separation so that we know where the tail starts and where the tail ends, and where the body ends. Okay, the separation, like so. There's one in the middle, and one right here, okay? And then this part expands to one more feather about there, and then another feather down here. Okay, and you're pretty much done with the body here. I'm gonna move on to the tail. Notice there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different feathers, and I only have 2. Okay, so this top one actually separates into 2 different feathers. All right, there's another feather back here. I'm gonna erase this line, it's confusing me. Another feather back here that actually goes upwards. Okay, and then there's one more, sorry, yeah, 2 more right here. So there's one right here, and then there's a little tiny piece that comes outwards like this, right? And I pretty much have my tail done. I'm just gonna look at the feet here. The feet need to be a little bit wider at the base where the toes start to come out. Okay, and there's really not much else I need to add there. Same with this foot here, not really much else I need to add here. And that's it, I'm done, right? If we're looking at the details, those are the important details that tell you, oh, sorry, one more detail that I need to add, that tell you that this bird is the bird from this reference. Okay, it's not perfect. It's not, I don't have any shading or anything like that done, but we went from those simple shapes to now this actual bird, right? Before we didn't have a bird. We're still missing a few things to make this look exactly like our reference. Number one being color, but we're not really going to go over that, okay? But we went from simple shapes, refined them, and now we're here adding the details.